No.
See if it's showing up. We're having trouble with the computer or with Facebook. I don't know. We rebooted the computer. And if anyone on Facebook could tell us if you can actually see us, that would be great. Because right now we don't see any video. Does anyone see us, or are we a blank screen, a black screen? I see people joining.
Yay!
Yay, people! But we
All right.
can't see video, so.
Hold on a second. We're working on it. She says she
sees us. I'm just afraid that if we continue with this, we won't be able to upload to YouTube if there's no video. Is it showing up?
Because right
Okay,
now
then we're going
to any video.
Okay.
Should we restart it?
No, let's just
Okay.
do it. I think it's this computer.
Okay.
I'm afraid that if we continue with this, we won't be able to upload to YouTube.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
Okay, guys.
this is Michelle.
This is Mark. And this is Mark and
Michelle.
Michelle without good sleep.
Yeah, oh, guys. We
Yeah.
slept like 4 hours, and I can't even tell you why.
Yeah, it was real pain. But
So
anyway,
we're real tired.
we wanted to continue on. We wanted to start a new category. This is the physical symptoms of autism that I healed from. And now these are all the symptoms I had. And you'll probably find many of these symptoms in your loved ones with autism or in yourself. So take a close listen, and we'll do a few today, a few the next day, a few the next day. So let's start with, and this is a big one, gastrointestinal issues. All right. So in other words, if you have stomach issues, if you have gut issues, and those are going to be common for people on the autism spectrum. All right. Now, for those of you who want to argue that you don't and you're on the spectrum, okay, well, when you eat something, do you get sick? When you don't eat enough, do you get sick? Are you allergic to many foods? Because that's being sick.
Do you only eat one food?
Exactly. That's being sick. Do you crave carbs in huge amounts? Because that is being sick. So gastrointestinal issues, you can go through the scientific literature on PubMed or PubMed Central and find hundreds, if not thousands, of articles about gastrointestinal issues in people on the autism spectrum. All right, they are there, and I've seen so many of them, it's impossible to read through that mountain, but it is an issue. So let me start with some of my symptoms specifically in this case. I craved carbs, not just junk food like corn chips and Cheetos, ice cream. I was eating half a gallon of ice cream a day at one point. That was back in 2010. And that's just ridiculous. The lactose involved in that and all the sugar, that's killing you, and you don't know it. And pasta, I used to work I went to culinary school, worked in bunches of different restaurants, and on Saturday nights, we'd all be off on Sunday because the restaurant was closed on Sunday. So Saturday nights was our last night of work. Well, they would let us cook our own dinner and take it home with us. So I cooked 1.5 pounds of pasta in cream and tomato sauce with peppers and onions and sausage. So it was this huge gobs of Parmesan cheese. I would buy a bottle of wine on the way home from work, and I got a big old loaf of Italian bread, and I ate that when I got home.
All of it?
All of it. I saved none of it usually for the next day. That was a huge amount of food, and I wouldn't wake up until late Sunday afternoon because of the carb coma. I was unconscious for like 14 hours because of that. But then I'd be sick and groggy for 2 days or more trying to recover from that. And I would have stomach pains and gut pains, diarrhea. Diarrhea is gastrointestinal trouble, all right? So you know, all right? Constipation is gastrointestinal trouble, All right. So I had that kind of trouble. I had low blood sugar. Why would I have low blood sugar eating all that carbs, you say? Because my gut had holes in it, it seemed like, and was not retaining anything.
Well, medical medium would say you had ammonia permeability.
Let's go with that, because I agree with that. Because when you eat a lot of protein, you know, proteins are made up of amino acids. The amino part is amine. You know what an amine is? It's NH2. N is nitrogen. H is hydrogen. So the nitrogen and hydrogen get broken off that amino acid and get turned into ammonia. That's where the ammonia comes from.
He says when your gut starts fermenting and putrefying, that's when
you suffer the damage.
The ammonia permeability, and that becomes a gas, and it can come out of your gut into parts of your body. And he says that's what gives you cavities even.
I can see that.
It just fills up your whole body.
Right. So gastrointestinal issues. Hey,
Hi,
Amy, how are you?
So can I say something about
Please.
unless you were...
No, go ahead.
Okay. It is a perfect time to talk about that because we think gastrointestinal issues are strep, heavy metals, and viruses. Hi, Aunt. We call her Ellie.
Ellie! She just had her little boy the day before my birthday.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, new mama. So
great. So Mark has had gastrointestinal issues for 2 weeks, and he couldn't figure out what was going on. And he has been eating little tiny pieces of
strep foods,
wheat flour, and what all have you been tasting?
Bean chips, little tiny pieces of pizza. I mean, right, this size. And so...
Are we still there?
Yeah, we're still here. And so I was eating little small pieces of that type of stuff and couldn't figure out why I had descended into more of a negative mental state.
And kind of foggy.
Kind of, yeah, I guess kind of
you
foggy.
You had gotten kind of foggy.
Yeah, and
if you watched yesterday, Mark was clearing his throat so much.
I was trying not to, but it just happened. And so I thought, well, you know, maybe it's just me not, you know, maybe it's energy. Who knows? Maybe it's not enough sleep. Who knows? But Michelle pointed out, no, it really feels like strep. Well, so I tried garlic. I had 4 cloves of garlic the other day, which did me good, I think, but didn't seem to make a change in the strep at all. So Michelle said, look and see if you guys have cat's claw, the herb at work. So I thought, okay, well, we never had it before. I go over there and we have a cat's claw tincture that has stuff in it that's not medical media compliant. It had vinegar and
probably alcohol.
Yeah, and one other thing. Like, okay, so no. And I asked asked my friend who works over there. I said, hey, do we happen to have this in capsules? No, we looked for it, couldn't find it. So later on, I'm on break. It's a little bit after 7, and I get a text from my friend, and she says, hey, look at this. Sure enough, there was a picture. She found cat's claw capsules, right? Thought, oh, all right. So I go down there and buy some. I take 4. In less than an hour, all that fog and all that negative mental attitude and everything was
and the
gone.
Gut.
And the gut trouble, all of that was gone. Strep causes gut trouble. Viruses cause gut trouble.
Heavy metals.
Heavy metals cause gut trouble. Ammonia permeability. So in other words, too much protein, too much fat, but in this case, too much protein, really, because that's where the aminos, the ammonia comes from, cause gut trouble. And so now if you're a person on the spectrum who doesn't have gut trouble, you're one of the rare few, because it is gastrointestinal issues are pervasive when you are on the spectrum.
Yes.
All right?
And cat's claw works really well.
Yes, it does. Beautifully well.
Especially if you're doing this diet, you know, you're not eating meat much.
Exactly. All right. So we move on to all right. Overweight or underweight. All right. So in other words, you're too heavy or you're too skinny. I don't think I have yet come across an autistic person on the spectrum who was a normal, healthy weight. I have not seen it. And
that usually means it's a backed up liver.
And
either way, underweight or overweight.
Well, and gastrointestinal issues are also a backed up liver. So, if you have kids who get sick every time they eat, they have gastrointestinal issues, right? If they're getting sick every time they eat, they're probably underweight or overweight, So take that into consideration. These physical symptoms are really no deeper than just physical issues. So we're not going to spend lots of time talking about them. But when Michelle and I met, I was not overweight. I might have been underweight.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But as time went on, I gained weight. I was up to 211 pounds by 2010. That was my heaviest and my sickest.
That was the half-gallon of ice cream time.
Every day. Yes, exactly.
And by the way, this is stuff Mark healed from. A lot of you might be able to relate to this.
But some of you may not.
This is the list that is in the back of the free ebook at www.healyourautism.com.
That free ebook is called Buried Alive, One Man's Journey Out of Autism. And it's an easy read. It's a free ebook. You just download it to your phone, computer, pad, whatever. And
this list is in there in the back.
It is. Let's see.
Adrenal
fatigue. Okay. Now, it's not just people on the autism spectrum, who suffer from adrenal fatigue. In fact, I think most people in our society today suffer from adrenal fatigue. What is that? All right. In case you don't know, adrenal glands are little glands about the size of walnuts or pecans that sit on top of your kidneys. All right. Those adrenal glands are responsible for approximately 30 hormones that regulate all kinds of processes.
There's more than that.
There probably are, and from my biology, all those biology classes I took for the degree, it says about 30. That's sex hormones, that's sleep hormones, that's hormones that control hunger and appetite and waking up. Who knows what all else, And in fact, a lot of hormones control all kinds of different processes in the body. So when you have adrenal fatigue, those adrenal glands have basically been burnt out and stopped working.
Or they're overworking. He said they can overwork. So like they're pushing out too much adrenaline constantly. Or they can burn out and not be giving you any.
Right.
There's so many options for the adrenals.
There are. So adrenal fatigue or overstressed or whatever you want to call it is a chronic problem coming from getting not enough sleep, drinking too much caffeine. And he would say this, and in my experience, this makes plenty of sense, eating too much fat.
Yeah.
That is a big deal.
Yes.
Because livers can get backed up with fat. That's why you gain weight. When that happens, and as you eat fat, you need adrenaline
to process
the fat. So the more fat you eat, the more adrenaline you put out, your adrenal glands put out to help process the fat.
This is what medical medium says.
Which is why you feel good when you eat meat.
Right, because you get a buzz.
And you do. I've noticed it in me, and I've noticed it in other people. So,
but you're not healing yourself if you eat too much meat.
A high fat diet does stress out the adrenals, and while it makes you feel good, sooner or later your liver will get backed up. Mine did. And I think most everyone's did. I think there are kids today born with backed up livers. I think he would say that. I think he may have said that, but which is why they're sick from birth. And so adrenal fatigue is a problem. So you have to cut down the fat because you're just and the caffeine. And yes, yerba mate has much more caffeine than coffee or tea. Chocolate has caffeine in it, not lots.
He says chocolate is a neurotoxin.
I'm not sure why he says that, but I'll go with it because so far he's been right on the other things. So adrenal fatigue is an issue as well. I had that. So
now talk about that as relating to autism.
Okay.
Not enough glucose.
Well, see, the adrenals operate primarily on glucose. That's what they use. For instance, adrenal glands, when they're burnt out, put you in fight or flight mode, which is a physiological state of being spooked by everything. All right. And it keeps you startled most of the time. I used to be that way. I was easily startled, and it made me mad.
Yes, waking you up was scary.
Uh-huh. And so when the adrenals burn out, that's because you're not getting enough sugar to replenish their store of glucose, right? Now, I'm not talking about processed sugar here. I'm talking about fruit.
Honey, maple syrup, coconut sugar.
Coconut sugar, yeah. He says he doesn't like agave, so
No,
okay.
he doesn't.
And I don't
know
really
why.
care about agave myself, but
maybe it's GMO. I don't know.
Maybe, but but your adrenals really need to be replenished with glucose to work correctly, and that takes a while. It took a few years to burn them out. It takes a good bit of time to fix them, and so when you don't have the proper glucose, you're not in fight or flight. You're constantly in fight or flight mode, so you're constantly stressing out your adrenals because you're stressed.
An excellent tip. If your adrenals, if you have like a close call with a wreck, or you're in a wreck, or something happens that surges that adrenaline through your body, eat tablespoons of honey as soon as possible.
Yes.
You get bad news, eat a tablespoon of honey, eat 2 tablespoons, eat some honey as soon as possible.
When you're tired and haven't had any sleep, he says eat lots of glucose. Eat lots of fruit and lots of honey and lots of maple syrup.
Yeah.
But no foods. Stay off the no foods. All right. Poor visual acuity. Well, what that means is it's difficult for you to make out details with your eyes.
So how is that different through your autism, as you're wearing the same glasses? Well, not literally, but it's the same prescription pretty much.
No, apparently my eyes have gotten a little bit better.
Have they?
No, that's what Doc said this last time. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
A little bit. So,
but still, you gained something from recovery. Can you explain what that is? It's not actually glasses kind of stuff.
Right. Well, being able to see better detail. In other words, if I'm looking at a tree, all the leaves don't mesh in together to make just one big leaf picture. I can see individual leaves now.
Why wasn't that a change in prescription? What was different?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really know.
But you did say you could see better.
I did, and color better.
Right.
And because color was kind of, does he say color blindness is heavy metals?
I think so.
That would explain why I didn't. You might say that was color blindness, not being able to see colors as well. Because as I healed, I was better able to see colors.
Look, I can't remember for sure.
But poor visual acuity, not being able to make out details as well. And I couldn't. And as I recovered, I could. So let's see. Let's move on to one more. Sensory processing issues. Sensory processing issues, those are things like not being able to discriminate between 2 different voices well. I had that trouble. Conversations, people trying to carry on one conversation with me and then someone coming along and talking to me in the middle of the previous conversation. That so pissed me off. And
they go to visual therapy?
I guess there is visual therapy. I hadn't thought about that. Our friend Marlo says, my kids are seeing better too, but they also go to visual therapy. So maybe you could explain what visual therapy is, Marlo, and we'll explain that to everybody. But sensory processing issues, those are things like a friend of ours, the same one who used the term propaganda for advertising.
Oh, well, Marlo.
Stop commenting now, okay?
Marlo is driving and commenting.
Yes, stop commenting now. All right, and keep your eye on the road, because otherwise you won't be an audience. You might not be an audience member.
We need you.
Yes, and so
your kids need you.
Yeah, absolutely. So a friend of ours, the friend of ours who use the word propaganda for advertising. She had the ability to see colors and hear sounds with the colors.
That's right. She had a palette, a painter's palette of color, and would discuss what each one sounded like.
It was a color deck.
Yeah.
And so I don't think you ever did it, but Michelle could probably have written music for her with colors.
That would have been interesting, but I was still sick at that point.
She had synesthesia, or this friend of ours did. And what that means is she, one sense, didn't correlate with the mental processing necessary for it, and it would bleed over into another sense and cause her to, like we said, with colors, hear sounds, or with smells, see colors, or numerous other things. Synesthesia is a very interesting phenomenon, but we've since found that it's probably a mix of heavy metals in the brain in the wrong spots.
It's probably metals in a place where the brain had to move its function to a place that was also a sensory area, that so it got combined.
Exactly.
I wonder if that's what it was.
Very probably. And so sensory processing issues, ones I had was hearing. Hearing and then being able to respond. I would say that's a sensory processing issue. That type of thing. And some of you may know other ones, but sensory processing disorder is more than likely heavy metals and viruses. So I would say mostly heavy metals. But anyway, well,
that's good for today.
That is good for today. That's 4 or 5, and there's about 15 more to go, 16 more to go. So we'll get on with that tomorrow. And we're going to be late tomorrow because we have a vet appointment. So we might not do it until 1 or 1:30, but we'll let you know.
Ashley.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, guys, it's been a drama week.
Yes.
And we have struggled to be, what's the word? Consistent?
Yes.
With the lives, and we apologize. And hopefully everything's going to get chilled out.
Yeah, it needs to get chilled out. I'm tired of this crap.
Out.
So anyway, guys, continue on with the celery juice. Continue on with the heavy metal detox smoothie. Continue on with the lemon water, lemon or lime water, whichever one.
I like lime.
She likes lime. I'll drink the lemon. And then www.healyourautism.com, and you can download our free ebook called Buried Alive: One Man's Journey Out of Autism.
And that's where this list is. That's the free
it's in the free
ebook.
book. Then on the next page, you can download our book called Heal Your Autism's Do-It-Yourself Guide. Healing Begins in Your Kitchen. And that is our detox guide and shows you how we did it so that you can model your journey on that as well. And we've got a bunch of freebies that go with that book. And we also do coaching. We do one-on-one coaching. If you need it, you can contact us. We'll set that up. We also do group coaching, which is on the 3rd page of our website, and with a bunch of freebies with that as well. So anyway, guys, we will see you tomorrow, probably about 1:30. All right, bye-bye.